Hi, I'm Danielle. Welcome to Danielle's Garden and welcome to 2025 and the new gardening season. I am going on my third year gardening and I am in South Carolina Zone 8, and I wanted to kind of run through some things from a somewhat beginner gardener to new gardeners and maybe just gardeners in South Carolina. There are a ton of resources on YouTube already about starting a garden, and I don't want to just keep reiterating things from other people. I wanted to go more specifically into things that I did my first year, that I changed last year, and things that I might be changing again this year, just for my area and for new gardeners in the last few years. One thing that I really recommend is finding YouTube channels and content creators that align with your goals or your needs or your location, something like that. My favorite creator is Bree Ellis. I really recommend that if you have not seen her videos, please go check them out. She does a ton of informative content, walks you through every step of seed starting, and she's really good at explaining what she's doing. And then she also has some videos where she cooks with some of the things that she's made, and I just really like her content and her editing style, and I watch every video that she has. Another one that I would recommend based on my area is Jess at Roots and Refuge. She's about an hour from me, so I follow her channel a lot for her timing so that I can say, okay, I'm on the right schedule. And she has a ton of information on varieties. So if you watch her seed hauls, she kind of talks through why she got something. And she also does seed starting videos, but they're not informative. It's more like, start seeds with me. And she kind of chats. And then another really informative one for seed starting specifically is She's a Mad Gardener. She does a ton of different content, and it's more for ornamental things, but she is really good at seed starting, and she's really researched and methodical, and so I do appreciate that from her. So there's a lot of people out here. Bree the Plant Lady's in North Carolina, and she's also really smart. Some of my garden centers locally have YouTube channels. So just kind of research around and see what could help you out, whether it's location or interest or something that they do well specifically. When I was brand new to gardening, I had bought my house in March. And so I had kind of flower beds to fill in. And so I was like, okay, well, I need to know what is going on. And so the first places I landed was Garden Answer. And I watched her videos constantly. And so I would say that if you're brand new, also just watching a ton of Garden Answer gives you a ton of information that you don't even realize you're learning until you go out to the store and then you're like, oh, well, I know what this is and I know what this is, especially for ornamental things. But I would say that my first year that I did not vegetable garden, I just kind of learned things. Garden Answer and Roots and Refuge were the two channels that I completely watched all the time. So my first year in my house, I didn't vegetable garden. Then 2 years ago, I said, okay, well, I'm going to have a vegetable garden. And I kind of made up my decision about that in the fall. And so I started really following Roots and Refuge and looking up new content about vegetable gardening, seed starting, and I binged all of that content. And then I said, okay, well, this is where I want to put the garden. And I went out there and I kind of mapped out the space, how many beds I wanted. I made sure that the sun traveled the right direction. And there are better spots in my yard for a garden. And you may have the same situation that you just don't want to put a garden in your front yard. So my garden is on the side of my house. That's not the best spot for it. It's about the second best, because I did not want to garden in my literal, like, very front yard. I wanted to leave that plain grass. And so I'm using a separate area for the garden. And that's what I decided to do that. Then I started doing a ton of research on materials, and I watched a ton of people build garden beds. I decided to do wood beds, and I ended up doing like these concrete castle blocks because I was also on a budget. There's a lot of ways to garden on a budget. And so that first year, a lot of my money went into soil. I did my beds all kind of 2x6 pressure treated wood. I lined it with plastic, and I did the castle blocks, and I spent more money on soil than I did on the materials. And I think that that was a really good decision. There's a lot of content about how to fill your beds, how to do this, that, and do it cheap. But I'm in the camp of your soil is gold. So if you have good soil, you can grow anything. And so I would really recommend that no matter what materials your beds are made out of, or baskets, grow bags, tubs, you can do a garden out of anything. The soil needs to be good. So definitely you don't have to buy like super expensive soil, because some things are like $25 a bag. I bought 2 cubic yards locally, and I want to say that with delivery it was a couple $100. I was filling 2 cubic yards of beds, like 6 garden beds. But I'm very grateful looking back that I spent that money where I did. And so that's definitely something that I recommend and would do again. When it came to the vegetables that I wanted to grow, I decided to start everything from seed. I felt confident, having consumed all of the media that I had consumed, that I could grow everything from seed. And I did that successfully. The question that you kind of have to consider is, do you have a spot for that? And I really didn't. And like I said, I spent all my money on good soil. I started my first garden with, and I have it near me, from Gardener's Supply. I bought their seed starting kit, which came with this little stand, a water wicker, how many cells is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1 24 cell thing. And the water reservoir that came with it, and the clear hood that came with it. So my entire garden, my first year, came from 24 cells. And I would up pot them later on. But this was my one investment, seed starting wise, initially, like in January, was this. I don't know, it's $20-30, but I wanted something that would last. And so I started my garden in 24 cells. So while I have gone on to spend more money, it's really important. Like, I had an extremely abundant garden my first year, and I was able to give seedlings to other people. So you can do it in 1 cell tray. It is possible. So I just wanted to share that. Like, I have a lot more now, and in other videos that's obviously gonna be on display. But in a new garden, I had a 24 cell, and what I did is I seeded them 1 cell in this. I seeded 1 cell in this corner of this one, and then 1 cell here, 1 cell, 1 seed, 1 seed, 1 seed. And so I ended up started, 48 seeds, but that's what I did. And I started in every corner, a seed. And I had decided like what varieties I wanted to do, and I marked them out, but I did a whole garden from 24 cells. I bought one shop light. It was from Lowe's. It was, I don't even know how much it was. It was not expensive. And in my closet that's right here, I just had a shelf that was empty, and I bought a heating mat off of Amazon. And so I think my total investment was maybe $50, the heat mat, the light, this, and I had bought the seeds previously, but I was on a budget. I followed the budget. I don't know why I didn't even consider buying started plants from the garden center. It wasn't something that I thought about, but it's definitely something that you can do if you have the money and you don't have the space to seed start. The starts now are absurdly priced. I would never buy a start from the store unless it was a variety that I wanted or my seeds didn't work out, something like that. And I do have an FFA program near me that does a seed sale. So I do buy some started plants, but in my first year, I didn't know any better. And so I started off from seed, but you can get pretty much everything at Lowe's, Home Depot, the big box stores. Walmart even sells started plants. You can go to your local garden centers, which is obviously the preferred method, or even check out if any of your high schools have FFA programs that do spring sales, and go on Facebook and type in like plant sale and like your area, because South Carolina has a like a big plant sale at the state farmers market. And so check out your state farmers market schedule and see if there's a plant sale there. And then you don't have to start seeds, and you'll probably get some really good product for a good price if you're sourcing it out to local or small groups. Once you've decided that you're going to do a garden and you've kind of got your area set up and you know your space that you have to work with, that's kind of when you decide what varieties you want and how many of them you're going to do. Now, I don't know why, I did my shopping at Johnny's Seeds. I think it's because that's the place that Garden Answer had shopped, and so I was like, I trust what she's told me. Since then, I've purchased seeds from So True Seed, which is a great resource for Southern gardeners. MI Gardener has $2 seed packets. Hoss Seeds, Seeds and Such, Renee's Garden. I'm forgetting. Walmart Seeds has the Walmart, Lowe's, and Home Depot all sell like Burpee and Ferrymore seeds. The seeds that you can get from the big box stores, I've never had an issue with them. They're not specialized, but again, it's what you have access to. Botanical Interest is sold in my garden centers, and they have a website in Epic Gardening. They're kind of like together. So there's a lot to work with there. If you are going to go the seed route, I definitely recommend first deciding the specific items you want to grow. The specific items you want to grow comes from what you eat. That is the first thing. What you and who you feed eat is number one priority. And then from there, what do you want to create? What do you want to be able to make, preserve, things like that. Now, my personal advice and what I did is I was like, let me just try one of everything. I was like, let me see what I can do. If I failed, it was gonna be okay. I don't know. I tried one of everything. I really think that you definitely should try one of everything if you have the space. If you don't have the space, obviously narrow it down. For example, I don't really eat a ton of raw tomatoes, but I grow a ton of tomatoes because I make tomato sauce and salsas galore. I grow a ton of peppers. I love growing peppers. I don't grow super spicy peppers, but I grow a lot of peppers. I grow a lot of cucumbers. I make a lot of pickles. I eat cucumbers fresh. I've tried to do onions. Didn't fail, didn't succeed. I tried garlic. They got totally wiped out with pests. I'll come back to them probably next year. I've tried carrots. They went fine. And I will say those are some of the best carrots, or homegrown carrots. Flowers, herbs, cabbages. I'm like, I could sit here for an hour. So whatever you eat, kind of think about what you normally eat or what you normally want to make. And then go to these seed websites. I will say that like M.I. Gardener is a great one where he kind of basically has everything. I noticed that if you go to different, like Baker Creek, they have a ton of stuff, but kind of niche. And so I have Baker Creek seeds when I need something specific. Botanical Interest, they have everything, but they don't have all the varieties. Johnny's Seeds is good. They have a lot of varieties. I buy from everywhere. I bought my first seeds, my first years from Johnny's, but I have not purchased from them since. They were great seeds, but they were expensive. And I just didn't realize, I didn't know any better. And so I have found other places and local places like So True Seeds in Asheville. It's a few hours from me, so they make good seeds for southern states. Also Seeds and Such is based near me as well. Just go on the websites, go to all the websites and just scroll, see what they have to offer. And then you start getting into the whole issue of varieties, and that is totally up to you and the research you do. A lot of what I chose to grow initially was from recommendations from other videos. And so like I knew what I would kind of wanted to do based on what they had grown. And after my first year, I kind of expanded based off personal experience. And so you just have to make a lot of decisions based on your taste and what grows well in your area and what doesn't. In Brie Ellis's last video, actually, she spoke about how loofah, for example, it takes forever to grow. I could grow it in my area if I wanted to. I don't. But someone in a zone 5, they just can't grow loofah. So that might be another restriction. And so her channel, her last video, she really pointed that out, which is a good point. Again, space-wise, like tomatoes, if you don't have a lot of space, they make patio tomatoes or patio cucumbers, bush cucumbers. You might want a bush bean instead of a vining bean. And you don't want to get an indeterminate tomato. Now, determinate tomatoes can get large, but they tend to stay shorter than indeterminates, which can get like 12 feet because it's a vine. So again, do you have room for corn? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. I don't. So it's just up to you and what you want to do. But just so you just got to scroll and just see what you want to do. Okay, so I've pulled up my order confirmation from Johnny's Seeds from November 2022. My total was $57, and I decided, again, my first garden, I decided to do Purple Elite pelleted carrots, which were good. I also got the Romance carrot, which was good. I got candy onions, which, like I said, my onions weren't successful, but they weren't a fail. I got lunchbox peppers. I highly recommend growing lunchbox peppers. That was worth every penny. You get a ton of seed from Johnny's. I still have seed, and I have saved seed, top tier. The Provider bush bean, green bean, I made a good choice there. I really enjoyed it. The Bristol cucumber, the Jasper tomato seed is Jasper is a grape tomato. That did not work well for me. I got the Martha Washington tomato. Didn't really work that well. I got 8-ball squash. I never got that to go. And I got cilantro. So that was my very first order. So like I'm looking, and I didn't order M.I. Gardener until, oh wait, no. Okay. So I made an M.I. Gardener order January of 2023. So that was still that first garden. And let's see what I ordered. So I got snapdragons, which I grew this year. I got black swan poppies, which I never got to work. The Aunt Ruby's German green tomato, and that was an awesome performer. The yellow plum tomato, never got. I got bunching onions, which were good. Sunflowers, I still have yet to get like really good sunflowers, but I got some of those. I got Long Island Brussels sprouts, which I still have that pack of seeds. I got kale, bachelor's buttons, marigolds, Danish ballhead cabbage. I still have that seed, and I got a type of broccoli that went really well. So that was, again, another order where I just kind of got random things. And so I definitely had other seeds. Like, I don't know where I bought my Dr. Weitches from. I grew that my very first year. I'm trying to think of what other tomatoes I grew my very first year. And I grew some San Marzano tomatoes as well. But again, I kind of just tried everything my first year. Now, since my first year, my seed collection has expanded from 20 packets of seeds to this. And I think I even have a seed packet in my purse. So this is a photo case, and on Etsy I went and I bought little labels. And so they're like little stickers that say what they are. And then I bought little like vegetable stickers and I decorated the outside. So all of mine have that on there. And so I went from not a lot of seeds to a lot of seeds because after the first set of stuff, I realized that it's something that I really did enjoy. And while I could talk about seeds for forever, I will say when you find places that you like, some of them will send out seed catalogs. So I'm on the list for the Baker Creek's mini catalog. They make a bigger one that you can purchase. And So True Seed, the company I really like, let there be light. Okay, so overall, planted seeds or not, you just decide what you want and the varieties that you want. I have no record of what I grew my first year other than my memory. So like, I had peppers that did well. I had tomatoes, and I know some of the varieties and like some of the onions and stuff like that. But overall, like I said, they came from literally 24 cells, and I really like my first year. I had some fails, but I had a lot of really good things, and it kind of got me hooked on what my priorities are. So then moving from the first year to the second year, I expanded. I got a full shelf, which I'll show in later videos. I got full lighting. I bought a lot more seed starting trays, and I got the little mini green ones off Amazon. I've purchased a ton more seeds. I added things to the garden like trellises. I've got a green stalk, a lot of different things. And really it was kind of the scale of what I did my second year. I will say that there were things that I messed up last year, especially with my tomatoes. I don't think they got enough light in the beginning of their life. So I made an adjustment, and I just fixed that on my thing where I got chains for my lights so that I can move them up and down. And one of my beds has a ton of tree roots that got into it. That's going to be something I have to fix. So just, you know, you make adjustments. One thing that I did my first year that was really successful that I'm continuing to do is that I top dress my beds with like chicken horse bedding from Tractor Supply. Those wood shavings, they do really, really well at holding the moisture in. I don't want to accidentally get straw that has had stuff in it, and I know that this bedding is not treated. It's literally just shavings. And so that's something that I've done both years. My tomato trellis I built the first year was so good that I copied it the next year. But I didn't grow onions last year. I tried garlic. Garlic went terribly. So you kind of just learn and adjust. And once you have your basics down, then you start spending money elsewhere. Soil for me is kind of a redundant cost. And especially when you start your seeds in, it doesn't really matter. Another thing is that, not that, soil for seed starting matters, but it's not worth getting into right now. And then another thing that I ventured into was like starting caladiums and like pre-sprouting those, pre-sprouting elephant ears. So I kind of expanded a little bit, and I also did a lot more planting. My first year I was like, okay, well, tomatoes will go here. I'll put peppers here. I'll put a cucumber here. And then last year I like planned it out on my iPad, like I drew it out, and I have it a spreadsheet, and I've vamped that up even more this year. So going into the third year, I have a seed spreadsheet inventory of every seed that I have that I still have packets for, and I've done my like garden planning, like adding new beds. And so just every year that you do it, you learn more things. You learn about amendments, you learn about pruning, you learn about sun, you learn about shade, and you just get better with it. But every year I've had successes. So that's the thing, is just try it. Like, the best time to start is now. Whatever way that looks for you is okay, because like it will go okay. Like, if you keep your stuff watered and you put it out in the sun, these plants have a willingness to grow. And I really learned that this year. Like, after the hurricane, I had tomatoes still on the vine after a hurricane. My peppers continued to grow after being like floored after the hurricane. And so you really learn that like these plants, they want to grow, they want to fruit, and there's a whole lot to learn. But if you just put a seed in the ground, something will grow. And so that's kind of the basis for everything, really. So overall, every gardener on YouTube will tell you to just start. And I will also say, whatever starting looks like for you is better than nothing. My dad actually does his garden in 5-gallon buckets and is very successful. So there are tons of different ways to do it. And 5-gallon buckets, they're $5. I think it takes half a bag of soil. If not, if you buy the big bags, you can do one bag for four of them. And there's no wrong answer when it comes to like starting. Okay, so hopefully this was not a completely random video that makes no sense. I hope that I did not necessarily reiterate everything that you've already heard. And I really recommend going and finding those channels, those resources, and hunting down, you know, what you want and making those decisions. I really didn't want to sit here and tell you do this, do this, do this, in a way of like, take this soil and take this seed and do this, and more of a, you know, make your priorities and decide what you want to do. Do you want sauce? Do you want flowers? Do you want salsa? Do you want pickles? Do you just want to eat fresh? And figure out what your climate can do. And just from there, like, just don't be afraid of messing up, because you'll mess up and it'll be fine, or you won't mess up and it'll be perfect. I don't know how many ways I can say that, but just getting started and trying is the first step, and you will be successful. Like, you will be. I just don't know how else to say that. As long as you've got your research down, and like, you know that you can grow this tomato in this climate, or you can grow this pepper in this way, you'll be golden. And even if you don't, I didn't research something and I bought an eggplant and I just put it in the ground and I watched it grow, and I did no research. Like I said, it doesn't hurt. It will be fine. So I just hope that in 2025 you find some motivation to get that garden going, and I think you'll be perfect. It'll go totally well. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. And hopefully in the next one, I'll be starting seeds or talking about my actual garden, which brings me a lot of joy. So I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.